Hello and welcome to Boothcast. On Boothcast, I speak to people who inspire me about sport, business, and the winning mindset. Today's Boothcast is brought to you by Shaw & Partners, your partners in building and preserving wealth. Want to check out more? www.shawandpartners.com.au. Now, today I have got one of the young, promising sensations in Australia for stand-up paddling, Ty Judson. He's really sort of been breaking down the barriers for coming up in the sort of SUP ranks, and we've been tested by him a few times. He's beaten me a few times now, which I'm sure he's very happy about. And it's been a great battle with him, but we unfortunately haven't been able to race this year or see each other. This time last year or just before, we were all hanging out over here in WA. Training and racing together. So Ty, thank you so much for coming on, and it's going to be great to catch up.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a bit of a bummer that it's via video call, but no, nonetheless, good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you give the listeners a little bit of a snapshot about yourself, sort of where you're from and sort of how you got involved in sport?
Yeah, of course. So I'm on the east coast of Australia, in a little town called Boomerang Beach. I guess, yeah, lived here my whole life. Grew up on the beach, and then when you say that, like I never really loved the ocean in the beginning, and then wasn't until I'd probably reached high school as to when I really turned to the ocean and really thought that there was, well, just yeah, a love for the ocean. But in terms of stand up, I really got into the whole stand up thing. It was probably 2014. Loved it, like the whole surfing side, the SUP surfing. I got my first surf SUP. Oh yeah, it would have been early 2014. So I was 14 years old then, and yeah, I guess from there it took me a year or two to get into the racing side of things, but from there on I never looked back.
Yeah, nice. And so what held you back from the ocean living at Boomerang? You sort of spent a bit of time up there in Foster, like doing like Ironman challenges and that type of thing. Were you heavily involved in nippers as a kid? Is that like what you sort of got involved in, or why were you sort of not keen on the ocean as a kid?
Yeah, I actually have no idea. Like as when I learnt to walk, I was pushed onto a surfboard and learnt to surf. But with nippers, I think that's what most of the kids on the coast do. As a kid, that's what you go do nippers on a Sunday morning, and that's just what you do. And yeah, I always used to have a bit of a cry for the nippers, but no, like yeah, after that, no idea really. I just used to cry when my feet touched the sand, but how things have changed.
Yeah. So did you race like clubbies competitively, or was it just something that you just got involved in? Basically, your parents got you involved in it to learn ocean skills and learn ocean awareness, or was it something that you actually ended up doing a bit of competition with?
Like a couple of little nipper comps here and there, like nothing too serious. Wasn't until probably 2 years ago when I started to actually play around with a prone board and the surf ski. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
So as a kid, were you surfing, or what were you doing? Like, were you a kid who got involved in a lot of sports, or was it something
it's
that you
weird. I've
found
actually
later?
yeah, no, like I've got a black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I used to
Didn't
play
know that. You seem
football.
like too nice a guy. I thought I'd never get in a scruff with you, but now I'm a bit wary.
Yeah, you better watch out. But no, I yeah, jumped into everything. Bit of swimming, bit of yeah, guitar, but none of that's ever followed through.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I used to surf probably in high school. I fell into it, started loving it, and then I was like, oh, there's a few guys getting heaps of waves, and they're all on stand up. So I was like, oh, may as well get myself a stand up. And then so yeah, probably the next week I was like getting into it and like catching every wave, and I was so stoked because you could almost catch every wave you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was the beauty of it. And then that's all I did. Like I almost gave up surfing. I was only SUP surfing, and then like I was like went to a few comps, and I was like, oh, what else am I going to do while I'm here? Like there's a couple of races on, but I'm waiting for my heat. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh well, may as well get into racing. Like so, went from there. Had my borrowed an inflatable board, I think, in late 2015, and then bought a bought a race board, and then from there training every day. That was my thing, and yeah, it was
So
sort of
is it an environment where you got a lot of guys paddling the stand-ups in sort of that Foster area, or is it just very much you by yourself?
Yeah, especially for stand up. There's one guy, Blair Hall, that actually got me into it. Yeah, well, probably
Yeah, I know
him
Blair
and
pretty well. Yeah, back
yeah,
in the
yeah,
Gulliver days when he was like basically a distributor. You might have even had a Gulliver at some stage. I don't know, but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's a good man. He found my ski when it got taken in foster that year as well. So
Oh, that's
he
right.
plays a good band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the one that taught me how to downwind. He's taught me pretty much most of the things I know about paddling in the
Yeah.
ocean. So like thanks to him, he's the one that probably pushed me in the ocean. Otherwise, I'd probably be a bit more of a flatwater man.
So
But
wasn't there an event in Foster that they used to run pretty regularly that sort of went away in like 2016. Was that
yeah,
right? What was
yeah,
that event called?
it was the Foster Island Paddle Festival or something.
I think I did it once. I think I must have done it in the last year, maybe. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think that was like one of my first races ever, and like that's
Yeah.
when I first saw you, and you like smashed it. I remember in like the first buoy turn, like I think you fell and got caught around the can.
Yeah.
Like the boys in front were so far ahead, and then you just smashed them by the end of the second lap. It
Yeah.
was incredible.
Yeah, because I remember the current was just like so strong. I think it's like the
Yeah,
Foster Tuncurry River or Tuncurry River or whatever it is. And it was just pumping. And I remember turning, it was like, this is too much for me. And I just fell in and like got wrapped around the can. I couldn't get off. And I think I had to undo my leash. And like, yeah, it was really, really difficult. Like you can get stuck so easily on those cans in fast moving water. But yeah,
oh for sure.
that would have been one of my first SUP races as well, I think. Like that would have been around 20.
Yeah,
I hadn't done a lot before that, so I had no idea how to turn. I knew how to paddle because I'd paddled my whole life, but trying to be able to, yeah, just turn around was really, really difficult. But cool, we had like that experience almost together because I don't think I'd been in SUP races before that, and that was the year my ski got stolen as well. I was sitting at the front. I was down there with Bo and then Tarju and a couple other guys. So that was a cool experience. Yeah, funny how you bring up that sort of memory. But so after that, so what? I think you were paddling with like Blue Planet originally, and then now you're with NSP. What made you keeping on wanting to go and train? Like, because there's not a lot of guys there training with you. Like, was there opportunities that started to present themselves that you could travel and you could go to different races and meet different people?
yeah. Well, that's right. I think that's got to be the driving force as to why you keep motivated to want to be able to train and like show the best of you and be able to perform at that next level and try and knock off that next person on your list. And I guess that was sort of my goal. Like it was more of like a list of like, oh, who can I beat next? So
Yeah,
like that's what really sort of kept me training. And but by myself, it does get hard some days, especially when you're by yourself. I find that you definitely have bad days or worse days when you're alone as compared to when you're in a group environment. You can definitely like there's that competitive edge like when you're with someone that'll
yeah,
actually make the training session a better training session. But I've also found that like as I progressed as an athlete that you have less and less of those bad days when you're training by yourself. So it's actually I think made me stronger in some aspects. And so it's like you racing yourself every time you're
yeah.
paddling. But yeah, no, it is. It was tricky, but no, did it for the love of it, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to have. You got to have that consistency and that drive. At the end of the day, it's all about what you want, not about what other people want. It's nice to have people there to sort of bounce ideas off or have a good time with or train with. But at the end of the day, like I train a lot by myself as well. And if you've got that goal and that sort of like thing that you want to achieve, sort of hanging out there, you just get out there and you get on with it if you really want to do it, and you're doing quite well at that. So, yeah, it's all credit to you. So now you've got like a lot of experience. Like you've had like a lot of good races over the past few years. You've won a Euro Tour race. You've won the Australian titles in the distance race last year in Phillip Island. So you're starting to obviously knock off these names, like myself included. Like I remember you knocked me off in that national titles race in that downwinder. But that's exactly how I approached my sort of career in stand-up or in surf ski or in kayaks or whatever it was. Like I wouldn't have it written down, but I have a mental note of like who I'd beaten, who I hadn't. And so how cool is that sort of seeing yourself progress really like consistently over the past few years?
Yeah, like it's really cool. Hey, like it's sort of more like like you can believe that you can actually do it. It's more like the belief in yourself. So like as you keep growing and getting better to be able to perform at that level, I find that it becomes easier, and then you like crave that next race. So like it's like, oh, I'm training, like going to be training every day, like this is all I'm going to do. I just want to get to the next race, and I want to win. But
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, go through your list. And yeah, I remember like one of my big names on the list was Kelly Margetts. There was a few races that we were very close together, and then finally probably it would have been heaps of races, but he was a memorable knock off the list.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember in one of my Surski days, there was a guy called Paul Green in like really early days, probably similar to Kerry, like one of the older like stores, but like very, very good paddler. And I got him at like one of these like Sunshine Coast downwinders. I can't remember, King of the Coast, I think it might have been called. And I was like sprint finish. I just got him. And I was like, yes, like that was like a massive achievement. But it's amazing how it all sort of like kicks in. You're like, okay, what's the next goal? What's the next thing I want to achieve? And I think those little goals along the way really help push you. And as you say, you go out at your training sessions and you're like, oh, I want to train harder because I want to achieve like the next person or the next guy along or whatever it is. So you can just keep, I don't know, fulfilling these different goals that you set for yourself. But no racing this year. How are you sort of dealing with that? Like it's very difficult as an athlete, and probably more so as a younger athlete, because there's like all these opportunities and everything was building towards those the next years. How have you been dealing with the sort of the COVID reality?
Yeah, like I guess it was bizarre. Like I was in Thailand when it sort of like really started to hit. It was, yeah, come home now, like you're going into quarantine, and like it was a little bit surreal. Like I didn't believe it. I was like, what? This isn't what, like what's going on? And then like came home, went to quarantine, and like to be honest, like it really didn't sink in and hit me until probably a month or two ago, where I'm like, I'm literally not racing. Like I'm not traveling. Like I don't know what I'm actually doing for the rest of the year or potentially even into next year. So I think that sort of hit me pretty hard. And that's when I probably was at the lowest with my motivation to want to train and everything. But like, I guess there's hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't know when, but yeah, I found it, yeah, tricky. Like, yeah.
Yeah, you found it really hard. Like I think most athletes would have found it hard. And like you were over in Thailand, like doing some testing or something like that. I remember speaking to Elaine. He's like, Ty's over in Thailand. I don't know what he's doing over there, sort of thing. And but you obviously got back. How did you find quarantine? Were you able to quarantine at home at that stage, or did you have to do the hotel quarantine?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky. I got home a day before the hotel quarantine kicked in. So, yeah, like I was at home still, got out to go for a run and stuff and stuck to myself. It's
Yeah,
pretty easy in a quiet town around here.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm lucky enough to be living on the water, so I can run to the creek and put the board in, go for a paddle. So I was
yeah.
lucky like that. Got locked out of the house though. But no, it was, yeah, easy enough.
Yeah, yeah, it's obviously a challenging thing for most people, but like mindset wise, like how are you getting through this year? Like I know that you're able to study. I think you just started studying for paramedicine. I think you told me just before we came on.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing you're working as a lifeguard and you're working in social services, I think.
Yeah.
How is all those different things going, and how busy are you with all of that?
Yeah, like I guess that's probably one of the main thing that's kept me sane, trying to keep busy. I've been, yeah, so started getting into a bit of support work a couple of months ago. I do a bit of lifeguarding seasonally, and then, yeah, picked up studying at the start of this year coincidentally. And then, yeah, it actually turned out to work out perfectly. So that takes up a lot of my time. I don't know how people like Fiona and a few of the other guys that study on tour do it, because there's no chance I'd be have any time whilst I'm traveling around to be putting hours into the books. But yeah, so hats off to them. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've been enjoying it actually. So,
Yeah, just learning something new. And then what sort of, so when you come out of paramedicine, is like, do you become a paramedic, or like what is the, I just am guessing. What
yeah,
do
no,
you
that's
get?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long's that the study for that?
Full time, 3 years, and then it depends how you go with part time.
Yeah. Okay. So you're still doing it. You're doing it full time at the moment, then you're doing it part time
No,
after that.
still,
Nah.
yeah, part time.
Yeah. So you're
Still
enjoying it that
bludgeon.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You never know what's around the corner. You might get the race soon. Who knows? But so for someone who's young and ambitious and wants to achieve in sport, how are you looking forward? Like, what are you trying to like set goals, like maybe times or sessions, or you're looking towards events that may or may not happen next year? Like, how are you looking at the whole thing? Like, obviously you've set these different things up for yourself, like the study and the work and all that sort of stuff to take your mind off. But I can't imagine you still don't want to race.
No, like that's it. I've actually been like searching for like anything, a running race. I don't know, like
Yeah.
something.
Probably can't even do one of those at the moment.
No, like it's so hard. Like over here, I think our state titles was scheduled for like this, like, I don't know, a month ago, a weekend. Then like 1 or 2 nights before we got this message, like it's done, cancelled, we're not going ahead. So
Yeah.
like that was a huge bummer. But yeah, like I think that's the one thing that really motivates me is like knowing that there is a race coming up. So like even like I was looking for a few triathlons and a few different things, but yeah, I know that like even like the race week got cancelled for over in WA, so I was looking forward to that. So yeah,
I think
like
a lot of people were.
yeah, like
That was sort of
gonna be
that was holding me together. That was like my like saving grace. Like we're doing the Sean Partners race week at the end of the year. It's like still going to be all good. We could still race in Australia. And it was just like, damn, cancel because the boys won't open. I'm just like, oh, what next? Like it's so hard as an athlete to like, because you don't know, like you're like, well, do I start moving on to the next phase of my life? It's like, well, I've still got years left. So well, for me, it's like, well, I've still got years left. So it's like, I really want to still race. So I can't really progressively move on in that way. So you have to sort of find these different things to do in the meantime while you're sort of sitting in this limbo period, essentially.
yeah, like, and I think that's what's been perfect for me, like literally being able to study part-time and still be able to train as much as I want and
Yeah.
try and keep as much focus into my paddling, which I've, yeah, like that's what I'm still planning to do when it comes back. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah, so I guess, yeah, it's a tricky balance.
It totally is. But I know you're really liking your cycling at the moment. You're talking about doing triathlons and that type of thing. So you really like keeping fit and healthy. And that's something that you sort of like lifestyle wise you like doing as well, not just for racing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a part of me now. I don't think like I had a busy few days at work. So like I don't think I trained for like a day and a half. And then this morning I went out for a paddle and like you feel like regenerated and like alive. Like it's incredible. Like I never thought that I'd get sensations like that, but it does. It's probably like if I didn't do it, I'd probably be all depressed and I probably wouldn't be able to like function within society. So like it's really something that I've initially, well, I learned to love, but it's a part of me. I don't see life without it.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'd
definitely.
be the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I sometimes I move away from training a few days and I'm just like, I just feel like a slob. I've got to go out and do something. Hey, so yeah, it's definitely a part of my life. And I have to be outside. I have to be out there doing something. Otherwise, yeah, just changes your whole mindset, like releasing the endorphins or whatever they say in the mornings. It just changes your approach to the whole day. You can get so much more done. Like even if you just get up and go for a walk or go for a run or paddle or whatever it might be, it just changes your whole mindset, changes your whole day. And I think I couldn't recommend it more highly to anybody out there listening. That's for sure. So now, what are you doing going forward? So you've got the uni going on. You're training intermittently. Is there any like trips planned? Like, can you guys travel around the state in New South Wales at the moment?
So for the most part, yes, but we're still blocked off at the borders for Queensland, and obviously don't want to go into Victoria just yet. Actually, I think we're still locked off from even WA. I don't even think we're allowed in there.
No, nobody is. It's really difficult.
So yeah, no, still only within the state. So bit of a coastline, I can do a bit of exploring, but in terms of actually being able to travel, I'm still stuck here.
Yeah, and you've probably the last couple of years, I think you've been traveling a lot more, and you're racing a lot more on the Euro Tours and the APPs and these different bigger sort of races, I guess, that for the more professional athletes. How are you finding that step up from sort of being maybe a very bit much of a novice in 2015 to now racing on these bigger stages, traveling a lot more, sort of balancing that sort of life, training elements and sort of experiencing different things? Like, how are you enjoying that aspect of stand-up racing?
Oh, incredible. Like, I think probably the stand-up community is probably one of the best, like, that I've come across. Um, so I think that's what's really helped with being able to travel internationally, because everyone's here to help you, and like, it's really cool like that. Like, you of course come across struggles. You're by yourself for the most part. There's no mum or dad on the end of the phone to come help you. So like, it's cool in that respect. So yeah, like, I find that stepping up to that next like elite level of racing, you do a lot of growing up. Well, for me anyway, doing it quite young. But yeah, the Euro Tour, loved it. It makes me miss it even more talking about it. But no,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, no, like, I find that, yeah, the racing scene internationally has made me grow as a person, not just as an athlete.
And what would you say your favorite stop on the Euro Tour or favorite spot in Europe is to travel to and to race at?
Oof. Good question. I love France. I
Yeah,
think I have to love France. Go
yeah, I
with
think you do.
Turk. But yeah, no. I really enjoyed San Sebastian last year. Um, yeah, all of them. Honestly, it's a great experience to be able to go visit all these places, explore, and then race on the weekends. It's pretty much a dream.
Yeah, it's a pretty special part of the world, and to be able to be over there in summer, sort of experiencing the different cultures, racing at these different venues, and then having that somewhat of a traveling family, I guess, as well. Like everyone's going to the same spots each weekend, and we all sort of like tend to meet up, or like we travel together, or it's not really like always like horns on. It's just sort of a bit of a fun vibe as well when you are traveling, and that, as you say, the SUP community is pretty cool to be hanging out with. So it's awesome for me as well. So, but I know you spent a lot of time in Hawaii, chasing Molokai and Hawaii Kai runs and doing a bit of design work and all that sort of stuff on those boards. What sort of drew you to Hawaii so much, and what made you want to do those distance type races?
Um, like, I really do think that Molokai has got quite a prestige of racing in the ocean. It's a shame that not so many of the elite stand-up guys really get there.
Yeah,
But like, it's yeah, what is it, 52 kilometers of ocean downwind. It's incredible. It's probably one of my most favorite experiences, like the whole, like the poulet and everything at the start of the race, like, gives me shivers. And even now, it's a huge, like, emotional roller coaster just even to be on the race. So but what drew me to it, good question. Probably, I don't know, knowing that there's so much history behind the race too is probably a big card. Um, Having Trav there is pretty cool. He's the master over there. But yeah, I found that Hawaii, it's got a huge, like, waterman aspect to it. If you look out into the ocean, there's always someone either surfing, got a kite up, windsurfing, yeah, everything, anything to do with the water, they're doing it, which is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool environment over there. And as you say, you're just on the water all the time when you're there, and you're sort of almost trying to backtrack a little bit so you can focus on the race, because you're like, oh, there's waves and there's wind, and there's like, I got to go for downwind, and I want to go out and walk around Waikiki or walk around Maui or wherever
Yeah.
you are at the time. So there is all those different elements you have to factor in. And I was actually going to go there for a month this year to try and enjoy it a little bit more, because normally I'm sort of flying in like from Euro Tour or something, being away for months and then trying to like put together a good 52K race, and it hasn't really happened yet. But hopefully in the future, at some point, we get to go back there and race again. And hopefully more guys do turn up. Like, even I think last year there wasn't really a strong, you wouldn't say it was a strong like elite field. Like, there was only sort of a couple of guys who were
Yeah,
really
yeah.
sort of at that top end, I guess, of most of the races in the world, you would say. Not to discrediting like that race, because I was I got second, but I don't want to like, yeah, I completely understand what you say. Like, there isn't like all the top guys there for whatever reason. I think it's just probably because of the cost.
Yeah,
We
that's
just, and we
true.
don't really race those boards that often. Like, that's why one of the only races we race unlimiteds in. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd like to see more guys do it and make it sort of a bit more of a, I don't know, when you get on the start line, there's like 20 like really top guys there. Like, that'd be really
Yeah.
cool. Like, that just hasn't really happened for some years. Maybe it happened early on, but not since I've done it. So hopefully that happens.
Because
But
that was your first race last year, no? in
Oh, that
what?
was my first race. Yeah, no, I was supposed to go the year before as well, and I didn't get to do it because
Yes,
Dad
yes.
had his part problems. So I yeah, I only went for last year, but I have been a couple of times to the ski, so that's why I keep
Yeah,
thinking
yeah, yeah.
it's like there's I've done more, but I haven't. Then you've got, so have you been into like the newer sports? Like are you wing foiling? I know you foil surfing and all that type of stuff. How are you finding all these different sort of waterman aspects? Because that's something that you find a lot of the stand-up paddlers do. They're not just doing like stand-up, they're doing everything.
That's it. I think that's why the stand up, anyone who's into stand up are amazing. Like they've got such an open minded aspect to like their outlook on life. They'll do anything. Like it's not very narrow minded. I find there's a few sports that are like, you only can do this or you can only shortboard or yeah, that sort of thing. So like I love the stand up community and that's also, yeah, like I've gotten into the foiling, doing stand up downwinders on the foil, like got the wing. Yeah, loving it. Like, and you're going so fast in the ocean. It's like the
Yeah.
Formula One for sure. The
Yeah,
ocean.
and what do you like? What do you reckon you like the most about, like, I know foil downwinding is pretty special because I really enjoy doing that. And what like there's just you get so much more speed and it's it's like a surfing approach. But it's like a different, like you're looking at the water in a different way, but it's not as probably as physical as paddling, but it's still different. Like what are you liking about it like so much?
Yeah, like probably the speed. Like it is. It's cool. You're just standing there. It's like effortless speed. You
Yeah,
stand there catching bumps. It's unreal. Um, Oh, don't get me wrong. I still enjoy my paddling and paddling downwind, but make you work for it. But there is something special about foiling. It's like you're on a magic carpet. It's cool.
yeah. And where do you think it'll go? Like, do you think that we will have foiling races, or do you think I don't know? Like, I've been trying to work it out myself. Like,
Yeah,
I don't like. It's hard to like. Yeah, Molokai and these type of things. I
yeah.
think it's kind of made for that type of craft, but there really isn't a lot of places where you have a specific downwind race. Maybe like the surfing stuff, or like it doesn't really seem like it's going to fit in as a necessary sport. But then there's wing digging. I think that can
Mm,
go somewhere like where windsurfing was sort of trying to go initially. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to work out at the moment.
yeah, because it's weird. Like no wind's guaranteed unless you're almost in Hawaii or over your way sometimes. But yeah, no, I guess it is. I think that it's definitely got its place somewhere. I just don't know where.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it's a very interesting one because, yeah, I can't really put my finger on it because the beauty of stand-up paddling is, which I love, is that you can just paddle wherever. Like you just need water and paddle on a board, away you go. It doesn't matter really what the conditions are. You can make it work. Whereas something like foiling, it's like, okay, well, there's no wind and there's no swell. There's like you can't well you can pump foil, but that doesn't look that enjoyable. I guess some guys have been pumping it and going down. Like I don't know. Well, there's will is a way. There'll be someone who's the best at that,
uh,
I'm sure, and there'll be some sort of race at that. But as a
that's it.
racer at my sort, I sort of go, well, where can this sport go?
Yeah, yeah. No, I like it though. Like I think there's definitely might be another opportunity there, and I guess being able to chase another opportunity would be cool. So always open minded to that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Cool.
then like seeing like the evolution of obviously foiling, like it's been incredible over the past few years, and you got dinging stuff, but evolution of stand up, like how much of evolution have you seen since you started probably stand up in, I think, first paddle in like 2014?
Yeah. I guess equipment. Even me, I've seen equipment like phenomenally.
Don't worry, we started stand up paddling in the same year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you were the man from the beginning anyway. So it was,
Well, I'm a bit older though, so I had a bit more background. That's my only excuse.
yeah, like forever you've been, yeah, the one to beat. So, um, yeah, like that's been cool. So not much has changed there. It's still the same. um, but yeah, in terms of, I've seen, well, I guess PPGs are done. That's a bit of a bummer, but otherwise, like I think it's still growing. Australia's sort of a bit slow in terms of. I know Sydney's got a massive crew, but everywhere else, like here, there was one or two guys that when I first started, they'd be paddling, but now they've all got families. None of them are getting in the ocean anymore. They've run out of time. So, but yeah, Europe seems to be thriving, which is
Mm.
pretty cool. I mean, yeah, so that's
It
probably
is, it is an interesting one though, like especially stand up paddling in Australia as a whole. you just don't see too many guys paddling on the stand-ups. I don't know if it's like surf life saving or it's the ocean skis are like booming. Like that seems like that's really like the place to be. And there's a lot of momentum there. But in the stand-ups, like I think in a way of that we we're talking about before, where like all the athletes who do stand up are like quite open-minded. So they're like, I'll go winging, I'll go foiling, I'll go paddle an ocean ski or board or prone or whatever it is. And then sort of like there's no like real like fixed crew that just like I only stand up paddle and I only do that. So like I feel like there's a lot of people in the stand up paddling community like early adopters. They like see something like I'm gonna give it a go. Whereas you
Yeah,
might not like, and I think that's because the sport hasn't been around for too long. Like it's only a 10-year-old sport, I think.
of
So I
course. Yeah,
think over time, I think we're going to see guys like yourself who are going to paddle SUPs for a longer period of time. And actually, that's like kind of like your first sport that you did. Like, whereas my generation and like I came from a different sport, Trav came from a different sport. They're a bit older than me, but I'll put them in my generation. Danny was coming out really good. Like you had a lot of guys in the early days, like Connor, Kai, Zane, like these guys. It was their first sport, but they were like winning races at like 13, 14. Like
yeah,
it was
okay.
so young, man. Like, and they're like the veterans of the sport, and they're like 25.
Yeah,
You know? Like it's crazy. They're like younger
yeah.
than me, and they're the veterans of the sport. It's crazy
Literally,
to think, isn't it?
because yeah, like you see all those old footage from like SUP Racer, and he puts out like of Connor at the 11 cities and all that crazy old footage, but like you forget about it.
Mm. Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
sort of
no,
become like, especially like when there's a lot of racing going, and you become transfixed on so many different like races that are going on week in, week out, and it's just like crazy trying to keep up with it all. And which race do I do? Which race don't I do? Like who's going to beat which races? Are you like you sort of fix on that one, then like you have like a big like break this year. You sort of like, oh, there is all this other history there. Like all these other things did happen, and even for me, like doing this podcast and like talking to different people over the different eras of stand up, which is not that long. It's like interesting to hear like the early names and like what was happening at the start. Like even talking to AV recently, and he was just like, yeah, like when we started, it was just like I just paddled, man. Like it wasn't like there wasn't training, and there wasn't like you didn't go like smash yourself in training sessions. It was just like the guys went surfing on their SUPs, and then they like did a race, and like that was how it all started. And now it's like super evolved to guys who are like professionals at it and training
yeah,
full on to be like almost specific racing now. Like you're looking at like guys who are like sort of tending to focus on different things. Like look at like Casper's more of a sprinter now. When he was like when I started, he was a long distance guy. He was like the long distance ISA champ, I think, in
yeah,
like
really,
2015 when I did PPG, and now he's the sprinting guy. And like Connor, I think, is kind of similar. He was like a more of a long distance, like tech race guy, but more of a long distance guy originally. And then Kai was like the sprint guy, and then you had then now Connor's the sprint guy. It's like it's just amazing how like it ebbs and flows, and people like
isn't
choose
it?
different things to focus on. Like I've always just been the distance guy. I've never been able to do anything else. But yeah, it is cool to sort of see that early history, and like even like Zane. Like Zane was like did distance races, man. Like it's crazy to think now. Like he's so good. Like he's so incredible in all the different ocean sports that he does. But
Yeah,
yeah, like thinking like they used to race, like they used to race properly. They were like all like they used to like do
yeah,
like 20-mile distance races. Yeah, it's crazy to think.
yeah, isn't it? Yeah, but no, I guess it is cool. Like, and even other people that you've had in the show, like even some of the Iron Men and women that you've had, like they're incredible in terms
Yeah.
of their history too.
Yeah, it's been awesome to speak to the surf lifesavers, ocean ski paddlers, like even just
Yeah,
like business people. Like I kind of like sort of like talking between like business and sport, because business is sport basically. It's just how hard you work basically, and be how consistent you are is how many results you can get. It's basically the same thing as racing. So it's kind of exciting to see their mindset and how they approach different things and how they make decisions to give a genuine outcome going forward. But back to you, what is like what is your goal? If you would like to sort of nut out your goal for, say, stand up paddling, or like for life, or like for different things that you're trying, like I always say, like it's really cool to be a beginner, and I always like trying to do my best, but I obviously want to win. I want to win titles, races, like all that sort of stuff. Like as a young athlete coming into the sport, like are you there? Is that what you want to achieve? Because initially you're starting off and you're sort of ticking off different names, but then it's sort of like, okay, where do I want to go with this?
that's right. Yeah, like in the beginning, you're just chasing opportunities and being able to, I guess, yeah, tick off your list. But from here, like I think there's definitely two races off the top of my head that like I want to win. Like that'd be Molokai and then Carolina Cup.
Yeah.
And my two races. But yeah, like I guess there's definitely a lot of sacrifice that you need to take to be able to get to those steps and win those races. So yeah, a goal would, and be a world champion sounds pretty cool. Hey, I guess you've got a couple of titles under your belt.
And you don't realize what like that means until you actually get it. Like I remember my first world title in 2016 for the ISA distance race. It was like terrible conditions, hot, flat, like my sort of conditions, I think at the time as well. And it was like, I lost like 3 or 4 kilos in sweat, and like I was racing against a bunch of guys didn't really know, and like I nearly passed out the finish line, all that sort of stuff. But at the finish of the race, like that weekend, I like raced the weekend before at, must have been like a ski race or something like that. Flew to Fiji on like the Tuesday, raced the Wednesday, flew out the Wednesday night, raced like this Red Bull Maze race on the Sunday. Cause I was like, I can't make any money like at that race. Like I need to like be able to afford shit. So I went to like these different races, like 2 weekends in a row, and then like made the money at those races. I think I won like 3 races in like 4 days, but it was just crazy. Like it was, but I was like, oh, like I'm going this world title. Like I don't think it means anything. Like these bigger races, like I rode, like, cause I've always been like, I want to race the best guys. Like you say, like you want to tick off those names. You want to tick off, like, I don't know, the ego sort of goes insane. I think you got to have a bit of ego when you're racing at that level. But yeah, I remember just like, that doesn't mean anything. And then like a year later, I was like, you're an idiot.
That's pretty cool.
Like it means so much. Like looking back at it now, it's like, especially when you're talking to like, I don't know, just regular people who don't understand the sport. Like for me, as like Carolina Cup was like way bigger than it. Like at the time, I was like, I have to win Carolina Cup. Like I've got 18th, I've got 6th. Like well, ISA world title. Like Carolina Cup means more to me. Yeah. But now it's like looking back, it's like, oh no, but that one like is actually resonates with the general population more. So it becomes more.
Of course, yeah,
that's right. But in my like mind, like Caroline was always the one I wanted to win because like T2 won it, Danny won it, Travis won it, AV won the first one, like it's So and he's like so stoked that he won it now because he's on that what we were talking about in the previous podcast. But yeah, those type of races just really stack up, and like Carolina Cups, like Molokai would be a really cool one to win because of just I think because of the names on the trophy that you want to be up there and you want to sort of put yourself with. Like I still haven't done that. I may never do that. I don't know. I remember having a conversation with you started last year and we're talking about this and we're talking about like the mindset. And I was like, I know that I've done as much as I can up to this point. And I remember saying to you, I think we're doing a down or an up and back from Trig. We're doing like a 2-week little training session thing together just to get each other motivated. And I was like, I may never win a race again. And you were like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I may never win a race again. Like, that's just reality. Like you might come along with somebody else that might come through and beat me. And then like, you're better. Like it just happens. Like that's the turning of the thing. And I still don't know, like I might go back racing now and like never win a race again. You may never win a race again, or you might win everything. But all we can do is sort of go into these different things and try and be our best. And is that something that you sort of approach with your mindset? You're always just like, I just want to go out there, give 100%, like never give up. I've never really seen you give up in a race. Like you've always committed all the way through your races. It's something I really respect about you. But has there been any trying times for you where you've just gone like, oh, this is too much?
No, I don't I really don't think so. I have always, if I'm there to go as hard as I can. And I think that's probably a bit of a demise in some way. Like, throughout a race, you got to race smart too. So like when I'm like, no, I've got to go, like I'm racing at my best. Like I want to push harder. I want to go stronger. I want to go harder for longer and that sort of thing. But yeah, like I don't think there's any point in which I've thought that, like, oh, I want to give up or anything. So yeah. It is.
Yeah. And so you were able to start winning races, right? So you won the Euro Tour, and we spoke this experience before, but when was the turning point for you where you thought, I can win a race? Because it happens. Because like I was talking to Bruno about this really early in my podcast earlier in the year. It's like you sort of pull yourself into that top 10. You're like, I'm in the top 10 now. How good's that? And then you're like, all right, now I'm like, I got to get into that top 6 now. And you get into top 6, you're like, whoa, that's pretty impressive. Like I'm really happy with myself now. And then you're like, oh, now I'm in like the top 3. Like this is like started pushing it. But then you sort of go, you never really, at that point, you never really think you're going to win. You're sort of ticking off those people or those goals along the way. But for someone like you, when did you go, right, I can actually win this? Like when you're like racing Australian titles next to each other, and you just like went away from in that middle section, or when you won that Santa Paula Euro Tour race, or other races that you've won, when did you just like flick over and go, okay, I'm going to win this one? Or was there not a moment? It just happened?
No, like I think there's definitely a point, like, and I draw actually quite a lot of inspiration from yourself. Like you've always been the man. Like, like I remember watching, like before I even started traveling, like Euro Tour. It's like, oh, Boothie's away. It's only 2K into the race, and he's bloody K ahead and stuff. So I'm like, if he can do it, like surely I can try at least. So I think until like I did that throughout a race and knew that I could sort of hold a higher, like I guess belief in myself that I could do it. But yeah, like I guess that's tricky. I've never been asked that before.
Because there is a moment like in everyone's mindset where like you're either a champion or you're not. Like it's very evident pretty early on. Like you'll see guys who can win races and guys who can get top sixes. Yeah. And there's guys who can get top sixes will always get top sixes, but they won't ever win. And then you might look at like the top, like the big stand-up races across the year. There might be 5 guys who win races. And there might be guys who like sort of come inside that top 6, go back out to the side of the top 10, or they come inside the top 3, 1 or 2 races, but they haven't really got that winning mindset. And that's something I guess what the podcast is about a little bit as well. It's like, there is a point where you have to believe in yourself. You have to go, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to take it. I'm going to be better than these guys today. And it's not personal. It's nothing against them, but I'm going to prove myself to me that I can do that, because that's what I trained for. Like I didn't go to training for 6 months to get third. Like it's great to get third. No, not taking anything away from it, but like it's like the Olympics when guys talk about getting second, but like 20 years later, like, oh well, we got second, but we're super disappointed because we wanted to win. Like we didn't want to get second. Like, we're stoked we got second, but we're not, like at the time it was like the worst thing ever. So yeah, it's always interesting to ask that question to people when if there was a moment, or you like were inspired by a certain individual to push yourself to that next level, or you got yourself into a position where you're like, I can either, like, even if you make a break from a pack, right? Let's say you make a break from a pack, and then you can either continue or you can wait and let them catch up again. But you've got to have the balls almost to go, like and it takes a certain mindset to be able to do that, because not everybody can do that.
Yeah. No, like I think what you said, like I've done the training. This is what I'm here for. Like I'm going to go. Like this is it. And like something my old man always used to say is rest on the plane on the way home. So I guess that too is always in the back of your mind. Like go, like you go all out. Like now's your time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what mindset you got to have, and I'm sure you'll have some awesome results once we get back to get racing again, going on in the future. So, like, have you remember this bombie out at Foster, and I can't remember what it's called, Jay, off Tuncurry, and there's like this kilometer like wave. Have you foiled it?
Out of the bar, yeah, actually, I have.
Yeah, is it good?
Well, like it's not amazing, like because it's pretty quick. Like to get up, generally, you've got a bit of swell around. But yeah, like inside the bar, like they've got that semi-compression wave, so you're just like standing there and you're going for what feels like kilometers, but you're only moving probably 300 meters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember like being like a grommy, like I must have been 13 or 14. I was paddling like a silver cracker mal. I still remember it. And I was catching waves from like way out at the Bombies, and then like catching them all the way through. I don't know how far out it is. It felt like kilometers to me, but it was probably like 300 meters. I don't know, or 100 meters. Like it must have felt really long for me at the time. But I remember like coming all the way through, and this server took off, and like I put like a massive hole in his board. It was like his brand new board. And I was just like, that was like my fondest memory of the Bombing, because you used to paddle over. Because we'd always stay on the Foster side, and we'd paddle across and then paddle out.
Yeah. It is. It's a pretty perfect spot around here. Like you can do everything. Like got some pretty sick drop-off points for downwinders. You've got good surf. You've got Bombies if you want to surf there. Like it's cool. So can't complain.
You got no traffic. But so like for you, like what, like do you see yourself staying in Foster for like the longer period of time, or you feel like you're gonna move around a little bit, or when you go back racing, you basically have your base in Foster and you just bounce around anyway, don't you?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's what I sort of thought. But yeah, who knows? I live overseas. Like, definitely not. That's not off the cards. But yeah, like, love Hawaii. But I think definitely while I'm traveling, it's probably a good base to be able to bounce around and. But yeah,
Hawaii, that's where you want to be?
no, I don't know. Don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see how it goes when it comes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know
But
if
yeah,
Hawaii is the, well, I don't know.
don't know.
No, it's hard to say. Like originally, I guess I've traveled for so many years now when I've just sort of based myself here. But I guess Perth's home now, so I'd
Yeah,
say I live in Perth and probably base myself here.
yeah,
But you never know what's around the corner. You don't know what opportunities are going to be presented to you, and you just got to sort of wait and see what sort of comes and where you're gonna end up. But
that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, you're getting married soon, anyway.
well, yeah, whenever this COVID thing sort of calms down, I can organise a wedding, but I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. I don't think, not with this border closure until maybe
Yes,
April next year or something. Because my family's over east, Christy's family's here. It just makes it a little bit too hard logistically. I think if we're all in one spot, we just have a small one and make it happen. But it
of
just
course.
doesn't make it easy with this type of virus going on.
No way.
Nah. So, mate, like now we're in 2020. So what do you think you'll be doing in 5 years' time? So you're 20 years old?
Yeah, 20.
So what do you think you'll be doing in 5 years' time?
25. Oof. Like it
It's
seems
not
so
that far away, trust me.
um, I'd like to think that I'm still paddling. I'm still an athlete. Yeah, I'd love to say I'm a world champion by then. Who knows? I don't know. I think I'll chase the opportunities that present itself and yeah, go from there. Like I
Yeah.
really don't have a plan.
All right. Well, let's go. Like, so where will you be in 20 years' time?
Where will I be in 20
Tie
years?
at 40.
Oh man.
Wife, kids, family, like
It
living
sounds all
in
right. Yeah.
Hawaii. I don't know, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I'd like to say I've done as many things as I can in my lifetime. So all those things sound great.
All
I'll
right.
just tick any of that off the list. I'll be happy. Happy
Yeah.
man.
And so now we're going into sort of a bit of a lull period and that type of thing. Do you start to plan to race next year, or are you still sort of in that limbo period?
I'm still probably in that limbo period just because there's like no one's even bringing out races really.
Yeah, I saw Paris Crossing was actually cancelled like this morning, so
I know.
that's another one that's gone.
But yeah, like as soon as one comes out, that'll be the first thing I'm preparing and be booking as far as I can without the restrictions. But yeah, fingers just hoping, I guess, try and keep my finger on the pulse and try and keep fit while I can and be ready when it's all comes back.
Yeah, good. So I've actually just thought of something as well. So I know you're on your social media at the moment. You're doing a lot of posting. Have you become a bit of an influencer now? Is that another part of another revenue stream? I know. Or to make yourself an athlete, you've got to have your hands in a lot of different pies. How's that going?
Yeah, it's all right. Doing a few photo shoots here and there. It's been, yeah, it's been good actually.
Yeah. And so no, but like it's cool. Like you got to do it. Like I think it's fantastic that you're sort of getting those opportunities, especially young country boy getting these opportunities and to go up with these major corporations and that type of thing. Who knows? You might have another sticker on your board next year or something like that.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, just I guess dabbling in a bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, mate, have you got anything else to tell us? Have you got any stories you want to share?
Um, I guess not. I guess you probably know them all. Most of my paddling stories are all been with you. So,
What's your favorite paddling story?
ooh,
Favorite sort of story from a race that you've ever done?
yeah, okay. So probably it'd be my Molokai race. Like my first Molokai race I did was 2017, and like I think I was about ready to cry 10K in, like this, I was like, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. Like, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe I'm here. And like, it's a very, I guess, personal, like it's not much to do with anyone else, but like, it's probably, yeah, one of my fondest memories of a race. And just, I remember crossing that line and feeling like, oh, Superman. Like, I thought, like, this is amazing. And I guess
What year
being
was
quite
that? What did you
young,
finish?
I think 2017, and I think I got 10th or something,
Yeah.
or 11th behind Penelope Strickland, maybe. So yeah, like that was got chicked, but
Got
no,
cheeked.
like,
Yeah. I didn't. I was going to say it, but I had a laugh instead.
but no, like that was, yeah, I thought I was the best. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And then, like to give us a little snapshot of Ty's career. It was 2014 first started paddling. 2015 starting to do local races, not very good. 2016 starting to do more racing,
yeah, that would have been
like
yeah,
12
probably just all,
Towers,
yeah,
nationals,
that's right,
states, that
around
type of thing.
Australia.
Then
And
yeah, and then 17 you started to go overseas.
yeah, that was sort of my big sort of start, and went over to Hawaii for a month, and then I think I got over to PPGs and a couple of other races over in the States. And then the following year was probably my start of traveling. I did the Euro Tour and Carolina Cup, went back over to Hawaii, and yeah, like heaps, which was another dream. It was like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool, like how it just like sort of snowballed. It just kept going. Like that was sort of the start. And then last year I spent, I think, huge amounts of time away, and I would have never have thought that if someone had said that to me when I first started, like 14. Oh yeah, you can, as you said, 6 months overseas and do what you love. Like that's a dream come true. So it's really cool.
And yeah, it's awesome, like what you're able to do with this sort of sport and this sort of lifestyle as well. If you want it enough and you can make it happen, you got to have that sort of special mindset to be able to make this sort of stuff happen, because we're not professional tennis players or soccer players or something. We're not getting millions a year. We're making enough to pretty much cover what we're doing, and maybe hopefully getting a little bit more. But that's how it all starts. Like when I first did my first surf ski race, I had no money. I had to ask Dad for $5,000 so I could go to fly in Hong Kong to do surf ski races. So yeah, it's amazing how you just make it happen. And if you like it enough, like they always say, that if you like something enough and you enjoy something, if you make it, you can make it your job. So that's obviously hopefully what you can do. And when you're 25 and when you're 40, you're still doing all this great stuff. So 2017, so 2018, then you started doing Euro Tours. 2019, you sort of took it up again. You sort of were progressing through the ranks. 2020, nothing. Did you do 12 towers at the start of the year?
I did, yes.
How'd you go?
Noik got me in the downwinder, and then they had a little, they had the tech race for the first time and managed to win that one, which was cool. But yeah, conditions are pretty good. Missed out.
I hadn't even started training yet, pretty much. I was like just getting back from Thailand I did a test trip, and it was like the race the next weekend, and I was like, well, last year I did it injured and unfit, and I didn't do very well. I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm only going to race if I'm going to be fit this time. So I didn't turn up. But in a way, it's like, oh, I wish I kind of did, because the last race I think was Iron X. That was like my last competition. So I'm so glad I did that.
Yeah,
but it just didn't happen for us.
That was pretty cool, the Iron X race.
That was a really cool experience to actually get out there and sort of just do it. Like I definitely wasn't fit for that either, but it was because I just done that 6-week trip in Europe or whatever it was, like after the Nordic crossing, and then we did like that 4 weeks, and then I went to the Gold Coast, like holidayed and had a few weeks to get ready for it. But I try to stay like a little bit fit, but definitely felt it in that race. I was like trying to just do the monkey bars. If I could do the monkey bars well, and I fell off that first lap, and I was like, damn it. But the rest of the stuff, the ball paddling and stuff, I was not very good. But happy to give it a mix, and like take all those opportunities that we get.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat the whole race.
Yeah. So I came back in that last little bit, and then I just like faded. I was like, I think I came up to like 4th or something like that, and then I was just like exhausted when I was like paddling my ski, and that was like supposed to be my best leg. It's like it just shows how if you're that tired, you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Oh no, too funny. Yeah, no, I guess it is. It's good to have people backing you anyway. You got a big list behind you, but good to have NSP behind me and one of my major pushers and back me, which is cool.
Yeah. And then who else do you have like sort of on board with you, like give you an opportunity to sort of voice the
Yeah,
team that you sort of have? Because we all have our teams that we've got to like, because our sponsors aren't just, they don't just give us money or they don't just give us product. Like it's like they become part of your journey. Like, and then if you can foster those relationships, they stay with you for a long time because without them, you can't do what you're doing. And without you, hopefully they getting something out of you as well. And they really enjoy that sort of feedback. So who else supports Ty Judson?
that's right. Yeah, I got a few local people around town and Moby's Retreat, a few other small things. So like, it's pretty cool to be able to have, yeah, just that like family aspect, especially with NSP, having the Turquoise and T2 and all the paddlers Trav. And I guess not even just that, having you and all the paddlers. Honestly, it's like we've said, it's an amazing community to be able to be a part of it is really cool.
Well, mate, I think that's pretty good. I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for coming on. If there's anything else you want to say before we jump off, say hi to your
I'm
girlfriend
good.
or something like that, like just let us know. But if not, mate, I really appreciate you coming on and thanks a lot.
No, thanks for your time. It's been good. Good to
Really
have a chat.
appreciate it. Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Boothcast with Ty Judson. If you want to check out any of these Boothcasts, please check out Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want to check out and watch these episodes, if you are listening, please head over to Michael Booth on Facebook. We've got a bunch of folders there on the Boothcast. So, Ty and everybody, I'll see you next time. Cheers.